All right, Bismillah. Welcome everyone again to our podcast, Teens, Tech, and AI. Today, I have my awesome, beautiful guest. I want to take his place, so I let him introduce himself first. Mahdy, Bismillah.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Mahdy Karam. I am a second year computer science student at the University of Waterloo. I am originally from Seattle, Washington, and I'm very excited to be here.
Oh, thank you so much for being here today. So I think the first question everyone would have is why Waterloo? Like Seattle, there's UW. Why did you even choose that even before we come back down?
I was convinced by a good friend of mine
Mhm.
who you have met before.
Okay.
His name is Musa.
Yes.
He's an alumni of U Waterloo, and
Oh.
he convinced me with the co-op program and the squash team, and that's basically the two main things that I do when I'm there. And yeah, that's mainly it.
Interesting. Okay, so Musa convinces you, you moved from Seattle all the way to Waterloo in Canada, and now you're there. But let's just step back a bit. How did all of this start for you? Sort of like your pathway into like even tech, and we're deciding to go to Waterloo. Take us back, maybe 10, 9, 8. Your first computer, your first intro to tech. How did all of that start?
I um, I always liked computers. But it was mainly when I was a kid. It was mainly for playing games.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like log onto the family computer and play video games. And eventually, my dad would take me after school to his office at Microsoft Redmond, and I didn't really understand what they were doing at
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft. I didn't really get what programming was, but he eventually, sitting with him in his office long enough, I found that he had this progress bar, like loader thing at the top of his screen, and it was actually like an indicator for when the next salah was. And I thought that was really cool because I asked him. It wasn't like a standard thing that you could just download. He wrote it himself, and I asked him how he did it, and he showed me the platform he used, and he said if you want to do something, you should probably start with like just some programming language, and then maybe you can work your way up to that. And that's how I started programming. This was maybe when I was 8 years old, and yeah, since that moment, I have just absolutely loved coding and programming, and it's just been my life.
Wow. So I'm sure like when your dad took you to his office at Microsoft, there's probably so many things there. There are maybe the games and like the food. There's like just so many things there. Why was that thing on the screen like what caught your attention out of everything?
I think at the time I must have thought I understood everything there was to know about like a Windows computer, right? I had spent so much time playing games, and I thought I was a pretty smart 8 year old for being able to do the things that I was able to do on those devices. But this was something that was completely beyond what I understood a computer could do. I thought that you were limited by the applications that were on the Windows Store at the time.
Oh.
I didn't know that you could build your own software. I didn't. I guess I did. I knew obviously it was possible because somebody have had to write it,
Hmm.
but I didn't know that anybody like just me and you could do it basically. So yeah.
Well, so even before we come here, I want to go even back to those days of you playing games. What was it like? What was that first moment the computer was there? How was the living room structured? You come back from school, you see the game, or how was it like?
Well, yeah. The very first video game I ever played was with my dad on our old Xbox called The Secret of Monkey Island. It's the remastered version. It's a point and click adventure game, and I loved it. It was kind of zany. It was fun. It was I wouldn't say intellectual, but it required you to use your brain a little, and I like that a lot. Eventually, I finished once we finished Monkey Island. I kept playing games on the Xbox, and then eventually, when I believe it was around when Windows 8 came out,
Hmm.
we got our new computer, and my dad installed this one game on the store that he found was interesting. It was this tower defense game, which unfortunately I cannot remember the name of. And that was the game I would play on our old all-in-one PC in my dad's office in the den. And um, Yeah, so that was mainly it. I'd play after school, after I was done with homework, or very early in the morning on weekends before my parents had woken up. And I cherished every single moment. I did not get to use the computer often, so when I did, it was like an event. Uh, I didn't have like my own device at the
Hmm.
time,
Hmm.
so it was always like a special thing, and it was always so much fun.
Interesting. You said something that's sort of like maybe confusing for even me or parents. You said one of the games required you to use like your brain because like when parents see kids like playing game, they're just like the brain is all like off. You're just like having fun and stuff. What do you mean
Yeah,
like use your brain? Do games even require that you use your brain? Like,
yeah, a lot of them do. It's and they all require you to use it in different ways.
mm,
If you're playing a game like Monkey Island, a lot of the thinking is outside of the box, like critical thinking. You have
mm,
to think of how to combine items that you have with things in the world to
mhm,
get to the desired outcome. And that's just one way that
mhm,
they challenge you. Video games can challenge you in many other ways. If you're playing a tactical shooter, it's a game of like intel, right? You want to know where your enemies are, you want to know where your friends are and what weapons they have, what can they do in the situation that they do, what utility do they have. um, that also requires you to think in terms of teamwork because there's people with you, like playing online live. Uh, if you're playing uh, a mystery game, say,
mm,
that requires you to have a level of social understanding
mhm,
and being able to recognize cues that actually is in it helps you. Yeah, it helps you build that kind of social intelligence. So they all require you to use your brain in different ways. Some more useful than others, you could
mm,
argue, but
mm.
it's all critical thinking, and I think that's beautiful.
Interesting. Okay. So I'm trying to line things up. You're 8. You started some games, you go to your dad's office, you play some more games, then you see something on the screen, the progress bar thing, and you're like, oh my God, can I do this? And your dad is like, yes, you can do it. So your dad
Yeah.
tells you you can do this, then what happens?
I begin writing Python. He buys me like an intro to Python book, and he shows me a couple of websites that I can start on. And I install Idle, which is the Python like default text
Mhm,
editor thing. And I go through the motions, I guess. First
mhm,
hello world program, first
mhm,
variable, first loop, first if
mhm.
statement, um, and just just explodes from there.
Interest. But I mean, like, what motivation did you have to do like Hello World? You're just gonna type print and you're gonna see Hello World. Like, what was the excitement? Game, maybe when you get something, you get excited. Like, why did you even take the book and start doing those?
I think I was at that point. I had been so convinced, like I said, that I knew everything that there was to know about computers, and that
Mhm,
I had like mastered the machine. But knowing like learning that I could control it myself effectively is what you're doing when you're programming. I thought that was fascinating,
hmm,
because that unlocks obviously a whole new world of possibility for
mhm,
an 8-year-old kid. There are so many things I wanted to build. Obviously, all of them at the time were like unimportant. Like I wanted to build like a platformer game that nobody was going to play or whatever. But
mhm,
the flexibility, the like just amount of things that you could build with it.
mhm.
I think that's what drove me to keep learning more.
I see. So tell me then, when you started programming, what happened to like your games? Did you still play games? How was the time distribution? How did things start moving from there?
Yeah, that's I'm very lucky. My dad was very supportive. He effectively what happened after is I got more time on the computer.
Mm,
He would let me spend a lot more time programming, and he would let me still play games when I was done with my work.
mm,
And I'm very grateful for that,
mm,
obviously. And a lot of that time actually was very special to me because I'd spend it with him. He is still to this day a significantly better programmer than I will ever be, and so he would teach me effectively. He'd be there with me and wait for wait for me to get stuck, and then see how we can work through it together. So I'm very very grateful for that. But yeah, that's how it changed, I guess.
Interesting. But then, like you say, your dad works at Microsoft or worked then at Microsoft. Then, like, I would assume like he was very busy at
Yeah,
work. And then you're talking about him sort of being there with you now, like some peer programming, like it's just like that peer programming person that you had. Like, how was that period? Like, he has to work, you have to go to school. Paint that picture of him being there with you moment for me.
he a lot of it would be in his office
Okay.
in Redmond.
Mm-hmm.
He had two computers in there,
Mm-hmm.
so I would just be on like the older one.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes he wasn't 100% like focused with me. He'd be like doing his own work, and then I'd ask him, "Hey, I'm stuck here. Can you help?"
Mm-hmm.
Other times on the weekends, especially, he would connect a computer to the TV, and he had this like Bluetooth keyboard, and we'd just sit on the couch and just program on the big screen. And I think as much as he was busy, I think it was important for him as well. Uh, he enjoyed it. It was seeing his kid do the same thing that
Mm-hmm.
ended up making him choose his career path. I think that was special to him, and so I believe he enjoyed it as well. But yeah,
Wow. So you sit on the couch, you have the screen on there, and you like program.
yes.
Okay. So now we've gotten it that you did this, you kept programming. How did the progression happen? You did Python, Hello World, all of that. Then how did things start becoming complex for you? What did you do then? What type of project did you start doing after that?
Um, I will say that I had a my progression was extremely slow. I learned all of the I suppose like computer science fundamentals
Hmm.
as I got older. Then I went through elementary and middle and high school because I
Hmm.
was under no rush, right? It wasn't like I was
Hmm.
in a college program.
Hmm.
And so there's actually like massive gaps between like things I would do.
Hmm.
I would, learn something, write some code, maybe not program for a little while, and then learn
Hmm.
something new, and then it would repeat. So I guess once I finished some basic Python,
Yes.
I took a little break, I guess you could say, and then
Mm.
um, eventually I learned C++.
Yeah.
It was I think another recommendation from my dad, and
Hmm.
I guess another recommendation from just reading about it online and figuring
Hmm.
out what the differences were.
Mm.
And the concepts there are majority the same. You just need to understand the differences in the language.
Hmm.
And so that was interesting.
Mm.
Python gives you control over, I suppose, the machine, but C++ gives you significantly more control.
Mm.
And that was a very steep learning curve for I think like 10-year-old me at the
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
Um, just the concept of pointers put me down like such a massive rabbit hole
Mm.
with like memory and the stack and all
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
Uh, that was not something that I knew obviously when I was 8, and
Hmm.
so this kind of you know deepened my understanding
Hmm.
of the field.
Hmm.
And as I got older, it was more and more, I suppose, programming concepts that were just introduced to me sometimes through school, sometimes
Hmm.
through YouTube,
Hmm.
through I had to figure it out on my own because I needed it for something I was building.
Mm.
Um, and during this time, a lot of the stuff I'd make was similar across the different languages. It was like a
Mhm.
calculator, then a hangman thing, then maybe like a simple website. But just something to familiarize myself with the language. At that point, I had never really undertaken like a massive, in-depth project.
Mhm.
Um, Eventually, during the pandemic, I
Mhm.
was 13,
Mhm.
and I wanted to learn game development. So I
Mhm.
learned this system called Godot,
Mhm.
which introduced me to a lot of higher level, like object oriented concepts.
Yes.
That's how I got introduced to OOP, and I made a game. It was very fun. I enjoyed it a lot.
Mhm.
Obviously, that was it. Didn't sell it or anything, but
Mhm.
it was an important experience for me.
Mhm.
I learned how to, I guess, scope a project and see it to completion.
Mhm.
Something that is slightly more difficult than just a simple calculator.
Mhm.
And I think that kind of after I finished that game, I had like a new sense of passion for the field. And
Hmm.
I was, because like I said, at that point I had been like learning something, taking a break, learning something. I think
Hmm.
since then I've probably not gone more than a couple of days without like sitting down and writing some code. So yeah, after the game
Hmm.
came my next project,
Hmm.
which was what I was talking to you about earlier,
Hmm.
autonomous sports coach
Okay.
using computer vision and some other things.
Hmm.
And to this day, I have not finished that project. So yeah, that's the progression.
But that's pretty interesting. I want to point back a bit because you talked about pointers and memories and all of that. And I
Yeah,
remember doing C, I think when I was maybe even 20 or even maybe close to that. And
yeah,
that threw me off. And I'm not sure if I ever went back to it because of that. But how does
yeah.
somebody 10 not get distraught with like pointers, with memory, with stack, with all of this? What
I
was
think
it? Hmm.
I think I had a very patient and uh, intelligent teacher,
Hmm.
that being my dad,
Hmm.
and he would spend a very long time trying to explain it to me. I remember like that's the thing on the couch where I'd sit
Hmm.
with him.
Yes.
Those happened often, and
Hmm.
he'd explain many things to me. It wasn't just like pointers.
Hmm.
We once spent, I believe, it was either 3 to 4 hours just
Hmm.
sitting there, not
Hmm.
getting up, except for once to pray.
Hmm.
And we went over the network stack. And I was maybe 10 or 11 at the time, and that was so far beyond my comprehension, because so far all I had been doing is just one computer, one program. That's it.
Hmm. Yes.
That introduced so many different things to me, right? So that one took me a while to fully get around, and we'd still keep talking about it later to make sure I'd fully understood it.
Mm.
But to answer your question
Mm.
briefly, the reason I wasn't put off by it was because if I ever was stuck, I
Mm.
had an excellent resource to help me get unstuck.
Interesting. So you talk about one of these periods was like during the COVID and all of that. And I've been just looking at like your learning model and method. Seems to be your dad has played a very big role in that. During COVID,
Yes.
everybody was like everybody was beginning to like explore the online space. Talk to us about like sort of like that COVID moment for you. Was there like an online world exploration for you? Was there like learning and help coming from like outside beyond your dad? But was there anything online for you that aided your learning during all of this period?
I um I was very I suppose like unconvinced by online school,
Mm.
and I had a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured, everybody's making like sourdough bread or whatever. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to do that, but I
Mm.
wanted to do like my own equivalent of that, and that was make a game.
Mm.
And so yeah, I started watching a lot of game development YouTube. I started learning a lot about game engines. I
Mm-hmm.
installed a bunch of different game engines,
Mm-hmm.
saw which one I liked more,
Mm-hmm.
um, and yeah, that was mainly it. By the time we came back to school in person,
Mm.
I had about just finished the game. And that might seem like a long time, and it is, but it wasn't just like if I had understood everything before walking into
Mm-hmm.
it, then maybe it would have taken not as much time. But
Mm.
because I went in not knowing a lot of stuff about just like basic computer science principles,
Mm-hmm.
like object oriented programming, for
Mm-hmm.
example,
Mm-hmm.
then it took me a lot longer to fully understand what the engine was capable of,
Mm-hmm.
and what I had access to in terms of like just the programmer.
Mm.
So yeah, I'd say probably spent 2 years learning Godot,
Mm-hmm.
um, and yeah,
Wow. It seems like you're talking about all of this, and it seemed to me like you probably already got your 10,000 hours for like basic like programming and all of this already done in all of this. But then like the next part I just wanted to move on into was then how did all of this translate into you wanted to do squash? Well, I know you play squash on like a very
yeah.
competitive level. Where did squash come into all of this? Because that's more like a physical thing, right?
Right. I think I was at a tournament once, and I lost a match, and I wasn't happy, and I felt like I could have won it if I had had a coach with me. But coaching is expensive. Flying out a coach is also expensive. This coach was this tournament was outside of the state of Washington, so I had
Mm-hmm.
to take a flight, and it was a whole thing. Um, and I figured that coaching is effectively just kind of complicated pattern matching, and computers are very good at
Uh-huh.
pattern matching.
Uh-huh.
Uh, the difficult bit is serializing the patterns,
Mm-hmm.
figuring out how you can take the patterns from squash and give it to a computer in a way that it can understand.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I had a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Same way my dad had a problem with not knowing when the next salah was when he was working,
Mm-hmm.
and he built a loader screen, and I built a squash coach.
So talk to us. Somebody's just come in and then they're listening about Squash AI for the first time. What did you envision it was going to do?
Yeah,
Basically.
I think the initial idea was like the final product is
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be like an app on your phone. You set
Mm-hmm.
it up in front of the court. You
Mm-hmm.
tell it who's your player. You tell it who's the opponent,
Mm-hmm.
and it will track all that. It'll track you and the ball, and know where the court is,
Mm-hmm.
and then in the 90-second break between games,
Mm-hmm.
because squash are best of five games.
Mm-hmm.
Squash matches are best of five games. It would give you insight. It would tell you, hey, you're winning off of these shots. Your opponent is weak in this corner. You should try to do more of this and less of this, and then you have a higher chance of winning. And you would get that insight from the 90-second break, and then you'd go back in, implement it. It would learn some more, and then keep helping you throughout the match. And then the other important bit was it would be able to keep track of your progress long term. So, say I play one match, say I play two matches in a tournament
Mm-hmm.
in, I don't know, January, then one in June, then one in September. It would be able to see how I've changed in terms of
Mm-hmm.
my play style and strategy, and then be able to track that for you. Eventually, as well, obviously, this is going to work for you personally, but I wanted to run it on professional matches on the PSA
Mm-hmm.
Tour. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to run it on all of those so you can actually track the stats of
Mm-hmm.
professional players. There's tons of extremely cool data about more of the major sports.
Mm-hmm.
I know baseball comes to mind specifically because they have Statcast,
Mm-hmm.
which is just so unbelievably in depth. It
Mm-hmm.
gives you everything from the like exact heat map of a pitcher's pitches
Mm-hmm.
on over the plate
Mm-hmm.
to like exactly where each player has like where each player's ball has landed basically.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so we don't have anything like that. Squash is a very it's still a growing sport.
Mm-hmm.
So this was a problem that hadn't been solved yet, and to this day, it isn't really a problem that has been solved. There are many people trying to do what I'm doing. I think I was earlier than most of them, but
Mm-hmm.
there are tons of people trying to solve this problem. But there's a lot of challenges, and nobody has been able to do it in
Mm-hmm.
like the way that we want, in the way that baseball Statcast, MLB Statcast has been successful.
I see. So I guess like for people that probably won't know, you play squash, you play a lot
Yeah.
of squash, but like how did you even start playing squash for this to become like something that you feel like you want to solve? How was your first intro into squash?
Yeah, that's a good question. My mother played squash when she was a kid
Mm-hmm.
back home in Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
She won nationals, Egyptian,
Okay.
I believe it was girls under 15 nationals.
Interesting.
And she took me to a tournament here in Seattle, a professional tournament to watch when I was maybe nine,
Mm-hmm.
10. And I loved it. Thought it was super fun. She took me to squash court the next day, and I have just been playing multiple days a week ever since. So I learned that through my mother. Yeah, squash through my mother, programming through my father, and eventually, I guess like 6 years after I started both of those things, I like combined them. And yeah, I played lots of tournaments when I was a kid, some in
Mm-hmm.
Washington State, some outside. I'd travel a lot. I was very lucky.
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted to play for a college team,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, um, that's how I started to play squash.
you're talking about these two things, and they seem to me like very two intense things. For you to play squash and go out of state and do all of those and do programming and do like this type of stuff, they seem very intense. Like,
Yeah.
how did you balance all of those type of things as a young kid doing all of just those things?
Yeah, so squash, I guess when I was a kid especially was a little bit more important because I could see like tangible, I guess, out results.
Mm-hmm.
While learning programming is slightly more difficult to quantify.
Mm,
So I would when I would tell you I'd like take breaks every time I'd like learn something new, that was true. I'd basically be prioritizing other things, one of those things being squash. And
mm,
so yeah, squash was like non-negotiable. I'd go
mm-hmm.
like every single week, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously I wasn't being forced. Like I love doing it, but
Mm-hmm.
that was something I knew I had to do because that's how you get better.
Mm-hmm.
Programming was on the back burner. It was if I had time, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that's why it took me so long to learn what I could have learned in a significantly shorter amount of time.
Mm,
I think the reason it took me like 6 years to learn, I think like enough about programming to
mm,
write like a complex thing on my own,
mm,
isn't because like it needs to take 6 years. It's because
mm,
I was very young when I started, and
mm,
my capacity to understand some of these things was limited,
mm,
and I took my time, and I
mm,
think honestly that was for the best.
mm,
Um, I think I have a very in-depth understanding of the things I've learned because I
mm,
took my time,
mm,
and I'm very happy about that. So
mm.
yeah, I guess the earlier you start, the more time you have just like mess around, and messing around is important. You learn a lot when you like do things wrong,
Mm-hmm.
and you know just bang your head against a wall until you know you figure it out.
Mm.
Um, yeah,
Wow. So you're talking about the tangibility of these two outcomes and sort of like squash was something you could see like an outcome on. Like, what do you mean? You meant like becoming a professional or like what? Or like you wanted to do it long term or what? What did you mean?
I think especially when I was younger, I didn't really have like a set end goal in mind. I just knew I wanted my ranking to go up, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to be as best as I could, and that
Mm-hmm.
was very easily quantifiable by just like the
Mm-hmm.
number on my profile, right? The ranking,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the main. So that was the main focus. Yeah.
I see. So how did your ranking grow then? From where did you go into what and what?
Yeah, I think the very first tournament I played, I absolutely bombed it. I lost all three of my matches, and then we just went home. It was we had visited my aunt on the East Coast, and
Mm,
the tournament was next to her, so we
mm,
stayed at her place. And yeah, but it was an important. It was like a formative lesson. Like I didn't know how tournament matches are played. Like you're supposed
mm-hmm.
to shake your opponent's hand when you're done, and all that kind
Mm-hmm.
of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it kind of when you're under 11, the I guess your skill level can actually increase like very quickly
Mm-hmm.
because there's so much that you can learn, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd say it was pretty good um, by the time I finished the under 11 division. I think I
Mm-hmm.
was top 30, um,
Wow.
and yeah, just kept going from there. So then you go into under 13s and 15s and 17s.
So tell us the progression then. You were among top 30, you said, under 11. Was that within the US or Washington or where?
That was within the US.
Okay.
Eventually, I'd say, yeah, as I got closer to like 15,
Mm-hmm.
I would hover around that top 30-ish spot, maybe a
Mm-hmm.
little bit behind 30.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time I entered the U17 division,
Mm-hmm.
I was in like the full swing of high school, so
Mm-hmm.
I didn't play as much, but still I was like somewhere around there,
Mm-hmm.
and I basically like plateaued
Mm-hmm.
for the rest of my high school career.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was given the opportunity to play at the University of Waterloo,
Mm-hmm.
and I've improved a lot since then. Playing older people is
Mm-hmm.
very different than playing little kids.
Mm-hmm.
My I used to just win by just like hitting the ball as hard as I could and
Mm-hmm.
not really thinking. Can't do that much often because I'm playing against people that are older than me. Right? They can
Mm-hmm.
hit it harder and they can
Other.
run for
Uh-huh.
longer.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and so that was very different, and I'm very grateful that I was awarded that chance.
Mm.
And uh, yeah,
Interesting.
that's how it progressed.
So then now you're bringing about two, three things together, your love for squash, your love for programming, and I might dare say even AI into like the old space now, which is like the computer vision and all of that. How
Yeah.
did you conceive the idea of like I can bring all these three together? When did that start? How long has this project been going on? And just sort of a little deep dive into it.
I think I started when I was 15.
Hmm.
It was after that tournament that I told you about,
Hmm.
and I uh, I wrote a very basic scaffold,
Hmm.
I guess, on my note in my notebook,
Hmm.
because there's a lot of different systems at play here that have to work together for this to work.
Hmm.
There's a reason why nobody had like done it at that point.
Hmm.
So I guess there was a couple things. You needed
Hmm.
a system to track the ball, a system to track the players, a system
Hmm.
to understand where both of those things were in relation to the court,
Hmm.
and then a system to derive useful information from those previous three things.
Hmm.
The first thing I decided to tackle was the ball tracking, which was not easy
Hmm.
because the ball's very small
Hmm.
and goes very, very fast. And given how far away you are, if you're putting the camera outside of the court, it's
Hmm.
not super easy to get a computer vision system to track that.
Hmm.
Sorry. Yeah, so that was the first thing I tackled. It wasn't easy, especially given at like the standard frame rate that phones shoot at.
Yes.
The ball doesn't actually look like a ball when it's moving. It looks like an, I guess, oval,
Hmm.
because just of how fast the frames are being taken.
Hmm.
And it's kind of like lighter on one side and
Hmm.
darker on the other, depending on
Hmm.
like which direction it's going.
Hmm.
So it's not easy to get a computer to recognize that, but eventually I did.
Hmm.
And then I moved on to player tracking. Thankfully, that one was easy.
Hmm.
This problem is solved. There have been tons of AI, like there are tons of algorithms that
Hmm.
can track people and like their joints and stuff.
Hmm.
People
Yes.
have, yeah. So the one I ended up using was an open source model from
Hmm.
I believe it was DeepMind or
Hmm.
somewhere Google.
Hmm.
So I just downloaded that
Hmm.
and used that one. Then it was a question of finding like a relative, like a way to standardize the space that they were in.
Hmm.
Because right now I was just tracking players and balls by
Hmm.
like their pixel location, which is obviously different depending on where you put the camera,
Hmm.
and so
Hmm.
it's different for every video.
Hmm.
Having being able to recognize where the court is and where the players and the ball is on the court
Hmm.
lets you like have a effectively like a data structure for the match,
Hmm. Hmm.
with all the match data like encoded in there,
Hmm.
and in like a standard way. And so that was important. Once I finished that,
Hmm.
then I got into building the insights, which is something I'm still working on to this
Hmm.
day because there's
Hmm.
many ways you can approach that.
Hmm.
Um, throughout throughout the time that I've been working on it, I've tried uh, like a like a to train a model to do it. I've tried doing like a heuristic effectively to find out how good you're playing based off of that.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, haven't I still haven't fully decided how I'm going to do it, but
Hmm.
it's close and it's a lot of fun.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's about it.
So you have you basically looking at the two, three cameras, then one camera just focusing on the ball, one camera focusing on the player. Is that
No,
how
no,
you do it?
everything is one camera.
Okay.
Everything is coming from one camera. All the different tracking systems
Mm-hmm.
are running on like separate threads, and
Mm-hmm.
at least that's the goal.
Mm-hmm.
Each system is getting like a feed of the video, and they're
Mm-hmm.
each taking that data, serializing it,
Mm-hmm.
and then sending it over to the like I suppose preprocessor
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
turns it into like a match data type, and then it gets analyzed, and then that gets given to the user. But all of that is from one data stream, from one video.
Interesting. So basically, one camera taking all the shots of all of this, the ball and
Yes.
the.
Yes.
Interesting. Wow. And so then you bring all of those together, and now you're deciding how to pass on the insights.
Correct.
I see. So how long has all of this project been so far?
I started when I was 15. I just turned 18 a few months ago, so it's
Mhm.
been 3 years.
Wow. So then now what are you thinking about like the future of like the next steps of this? How long are you even thinking into like completion? Not just even complete. What do you think like the progress of use of this will then be from
Yeah.
there?
I think the goal is eventually to have that app I was talking
Hmm.
about, to just
Yeah.
have anybody be able to run it.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, it's actually extremely like computationally intense, and so you can't actually run it on a phone. You'd have to run it on a server elsewhere.
Hmm.
And so there probably have to be some, I guess, subscription system so that you can like pay to use the service. It
Hmm.
runs on the servers and then returns the data back to you.
Hmm.
Um, After that,
Hmm.
I want to do the whole professional analysis thing I was telling you about,
Hmm.
being able to analyze all the pros so that you can have all their stats. I think
Hmm.
that'd be really cool.
Hmm.
Nobody's quite done that yet.
Hmm.
And in terms of timeline, I don't even know.
Yeah.
How much I work on this project is entirely dependent on how busy I am with work and
Hmm.
school.
Hmm. Hmm.
So once I get the analysis bit done,
Hmm.
once I get the analysis bit done, honestly, the app is easy. It's just like
Hmm.
basically just taking a video and sending it to a server,
Hmm. Hmm.
um, and then just like displaying the information once the server is done analyzing. It's the analysis that'll probably take me a while, and I'm assuming maybe by the end of the school year.
Hmm.
So I guess like May. But again, like the actual, I don't have like a set timeline. This is
I
I'm the only person. I'm the only person
I
working on this. I
I
do it because I like it and I think it's
uh-huh.
fun.
I see.
And if I want to work on it, I do. If I don't, I don't.
I see.
And so there is no urgency. There is nobody like waiting on me
So
to,
you,
to
I
finish
see.
this. I
I
mean,
see.
my friends will say that they're waiting on me, but they're just like they're just
Giving
being a
you
bother.
pressure.
They just think they're they just think they're being funny.
I see. I see. Interesting. Okay. So now you finish high school. There is a path from there to go even into like college and all of those, and you are now in Waterloo. Tell me about that period of like just finishing college, deciding Waterloo, and like moving into Waterloo, and like how the work stream has just changed from being like an high school student to being a kid at Waterloo to one of the most competitive schools. How does your workload look like now? Because you started still building Squash AI from, I guess, high school to now.
Yeah, I have been. The school itself is fantastic. I've
Mm,
had a lot of fun, and that being said, the classes are significantly more demanding,
mm,
and that is something I do before I got there. So
mm,
just the amount of time I've been able to split between that and the Squash AI program is limited, of course.
mm,
But I and squash too because I have to do that.
mhm,
Uh, but yeah, I've learned so much just from even the first and second year courses that I've taken at the university
mhm,
that I've been able to implement into my like programming for the things I do,
mhm,
and I think that's been extremely useful. Like that's why I wanted to come here in the first place. I felt like
mhm,
I would be able to get, I'd be able to build my like programming repertoire,
mm,
and I think it has fundamentally changed the way I approach certain problems.
mhm, mhm,
Um, I'm not a huge, I guess, shill of functional programming,
mhm,
but they taught us functional programming in university, and I thought it was actually extremely interesting. And
mhm,
the concept of zero side effects
mhm,
is something that like I'm very convinced by,
mhm,
and so I have tried to implement that as much as I can. I've actually
mhm.
rewritten some bits of the Squash AI program, and they're
In-
significantly easier to understand now because of the paradigms that they're teaching me in university.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's always been that. It's just been like a question of getting all of the information that you can and
Mhm.
using it to build something useful.
So you're saying just even the things you've done in your first, second year in like functional programming, you've been able to take that and like rewrite like your squash game even already at this point.
Yeah, yeah, I've been able to refactor some initially very complicated systems
Hmm.
into things that are, I think, a lot more straightforward to understand. Not that anyone ever else is ever going to read it,
Hmm.
but um, it's easier for me to refactor and to add stuff to it in the future because of functional programming. I
I see.
believe it doesn't allow for many. Yeah, it doesn't allow for side effects, and that's important when you're working on a project with so many moving parts.
Interesting. So then like how does how does a program in Waterloo, right? For the kid who started program like 8 or 9, you have already like about 7 years, close to even a decade old of experience programming. Like if you could have seen that experience before you got into Waterloo and like readjusted how you learned as a teenager, would you have done anything differently?
No, I think I'm extremely fortunate
Mm,
for the way I was able to learn programming. I
mm-hmm,
think um, I don't want to say I was ahead of anybody
mm-hmm,
necessarily. There are some extremely intelligent people at the university,
mm,
um, but I had a very in depth understanding that helped me a lot with the classes that I did end up taking,
mm.
and that was very fortunate. So I'd say honestly, no, because they teach you everything from the beginning, right?
Ah, uh-huh,
And so if you already have like a basic understanding, then that
mhm.
helps you a lot.
I see, I see, I see. Interesting. Okay, then I was looking at your LinkedIn, trying to get us all finishing. You did a few internships here and there. How did all of that
Yeah.
again come into all of this big picture of what seems like already an intense like day and stuff? How did all of those happen?
I that's a great question. Uh, I'm Egyptian, and so I would go back to Egypt a lot.
Mhm,
And during that time, I would connect with similarly minded tech people or tech
mhm,
people that my dad had known from before he moved to the States.
mm,
And eventually, through that, eventually through that, I was able to find some opportunities doing some pretty basic stuff, but
mm,
still like work nonetheless.
mhm,
And to be honest, a lot of that wasn't even difficult programming wise. It
mhm,
was difficult, um, just like I don't want to say socially, but like from
mhm,
a like teamwork perspective.
mhm, mhm, mhm.
At that point in my life, I had spent years and years programming on my own.
Yes.
And getting onto a team and having to communicate with other people, not just what you're
Mhm,
doing, but what you need from them,
mhm,
that's a skill, and that is a skill that I did not have. And
mm,
so that was the main thing. That was the main thing I was trying to develop when I was
mm,
going there. It wasn't necessarily to learn a lot about programming, even though
mm,
I did a little bit. It
mm,
was mainly about the experience of working with other people through
mm.
programming.
Interesting.
Um, and I think I learned a lot from that, and
Mhm,
I'm very happy with the work I was able to do.
mm,
I currently work for a startup in Boston. I don't know if that one's on my LinkedIn. I haven't updated it
mhm,
in a bit.
mm,
I work for like a materials startup in Boston. I
mhm,
work mainly with mechanical engineers. I'm one of the few programmers, and
mhm,
we're just yeah, we're building all different kinds of stuff with lasers
mhm,
and cold atoms and
mhm,
some pretty neat stuff. But again, a lot of the programming is new. I'm learning some stuff, but more of what I'm learning is
mhm.
how to communicate with other people.
Interesting. So, are you telling me that still all of this, you're playing squash in college, you're doing your college stuff, you're doing an internship, and you're still doing squash AI?
Yeah, yeah. Slowly, but I'm chugging away at it.
Hmm.
I think last commit was probably like 5 days ago, maybe a little more.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm on it. I'm trying to work through it. It's kind of like a time. It's not a time waster. It's like it's something I do when I don't have. There are gaps in my
Hmm.
schedule, right?
Hmm.
I'm not always studying. I'm not always playing squash.
Hmm.
So I could get on my phone and watch TikTok, and I do that. Not TikTok, but like Instagram.
Hmm.
I could do that, or I could program. And so I try my best to push myself towards
I see.
programming
I see.
because to me those are both like fun, enjoyable things. Some people see programming as like a challenge.
Hmm.
Um, I've never seen it that way. I see it as something genuinely fun, and so I don't mind using it as a way to like
Have fun.
waste my time. Yeah,
Interesting. So there is one word I think like I've not got into from the beginning of our conversation, which is basically like the word AI. So,
yeah.
I know you're not a very big fan of AI, are you?
I think it's very useful
Uh-huh.
in some situations. I think
Yes.
unfortunately the way it's used maybe isn't the best.
Uh-huh.
Um, but as a technology, it's extremely impressive, and I think it's been able to help a lot of people.
Mm,
I've been aided by AI more times than I can count.
mm,
So I don't necessarily not like it.
mhm.
It's just I believe that we people don't necessarily understand its limitations.
Hmm. So, what are your views on AI that you just think like people don't get? Like when you say its limitations, what do you mean? Just
Um, it will very confidently give you a piece of code that
mm,
has like a critical bug, right?
mhm,
It doesn't. it doesn't test it. I mean, I suppose you're going to do that, but it can't test every single edge case, for example.
Mm-hmm.
There are many examples online of people asking it for like a simple program and then finding out that actually, given this situation or this situation, this either crashes or has some kind of security vulnerability or whatever. And I
Hmm.
think that isn't inherently the problem. If it
Hmm.
can give you the code and then you can understand that you need to review it and
Hmm.
figure all the stuff out for yourself, then that'd be
Hmm.
okay. I
Hmm.
think people are kind of treating it as like the end all be all, and so
Hmm.
you're getting all these absurd bugs in
Hmm.
software that even you and I have been using for ages now.
Hmm.
Microsoft Windows is currently in maybe the worst state it's ever been in.
Hmm.
Uh, there was just, I mean, after Satya announced that 30% of their code is being written by
Hmm.
AI or whatever,
Hmm.
there was a bug where Task Manager was like cloning itself. People's taskbar has, have started disappearing.
Hmm.
Uh, the one of the like widgets menus are like a web view and not even like actually written natively. And
Hmm.
it's just such, it's just horrendous. Practically unusable for some people.
Hmm.
There was a bug with some I guess driver for storage drives that made it so
Hmm.
people couldn't like read their data.
Hmm.
And a lot of these have come as like a component of people just relying on AI so much. These massive layoffs requiring people to write more volume of code,
Hmm.
more volumes of code, and effectively that leading to the mess that
Hmm.
we see, not
Hmm.
just Windows, but in all different
Hmm.
kinds of software.
Hmm. I see.
Um, yeah,
So if you were to be leading any one of these organizations and the AI boom is basically here now, with
yeah.
everything that you know and everything that you do, how would you be leading it differently to sort of like, how would you be leading it differently?
I think AI for me is very important if I want to test out a new idea. If I want
Mhm.
to scaffold something, but I don't want to spend the entire time writing it, I
Yes.
can write something, test it, see that it doesn't work, and then scrap the entire piece of code. It,
Hmm.
it helps you iterate more quickly.
Yes.
Although for anything important, I
Hmm.
like writing a lot of the important systems myself,
Hmm.
just to make sure that I'm covering all the edge cases, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, but it helps you prototype very quickly, and I think that's something that can be leveraged.
Hmm.
Um, Especially if you want to like show something to a client quickly, that might be
Hmm.
the trick.
Hmm.
Eventually, you'll have to iron out the kinks, but
Yeah.
that's something that you can do after the fact.
Hmm.
And yeah, just using it as again the end all be all isn't
Hmm.
the greatest idea in my opinion.
I see. I see. Interest. So I guess like as we're finishing this whole conversation, you're in school using AI, and I guess AI is basically in space now in all of the things that we do. How are you seeing it even in like your program? How is it being like used as part of like your program at a place like Waterloo?
Um, that's a great question. I use AI a lot when I'm in lectures. So if there's like a concept I want to quickly read more about,
Mm-hmm.
I'll ask it. I'll say, "Hey, my professor said this, but I didn't fully understand what she's saying. What does that mean?" And then it'll give me like a better explanation.
Hmm.
Uh, Maybe not a better explanation, but a different explanation. So maybe
Mm-hmm.
I'll understand
Mm-hmm.
more of what they were trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
I I don't use it much for programming classes. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like that kind of defeats the purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I don't think we're allowed to do that.
Oh,
But uh, I think I use it more for understanding than I do for the execution,
okay.
if that
I
makes
see.
sense.
I see. I see. I
Oh,
see.
it's a fantastic study tool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was just studying for a final. I gave it my entire course notes
Mm-hmm.
and was like, "Here, I'm probably going to be tested on this. Give me like 10 different questions on this topic,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll tell you my answers and tell you if I was right or wrong." And
Mm-hmm.
that's super useful. Honestly, like
Mm-hmm.
that has cut down the amount of time I spend studying significantly because it can just generate these questions for me and then just check them super quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been super useful. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
So as a teen, somebody in his 18s, just looking at like the outlook of like education and like the impact of AI, what are your guesses on like your thoughts on like where the future is basically going with all of that?
um, that is very difficult for me to answer, and I actually don't know if I'm the best person
Mm-hmm.
to answer it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't use AI as much as other people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I don't fully understand its limitations as much as other people do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think there are a lot of active users of AI. I
Mhm.
think more and more people are starting to be disillusioned as to like what it's actually saying and
Mhm.
all the things it's getting wrong, but also more and more people are picking it up
Mhm.
and returning to it, I guess.
Mhm.
From a like financial perspective, there's
Mhm.
such an insane monetary incentive to be investing in these companies.
Mhm.
The amount of money is just absolutely absurd.
Mhm.
Um, do you know what Together.ai is?
Together with I think I've seen it.
Yeah, I don't know what they do, but they're worth $3.25 billion. And I don't know how that helped, how that happened. Um, and it's just it's crazy. All the investment that's being poured into this industry,
Mhm.
and of course, you know, I'm sure Nvidia isn't is going to make sure that this doesn't stop soon because they're
Mhm.
effectively just selling pickaxes and the greatest gold mine in the history
Mhm.
of the planet.
Mhm.
Um, and the way it's looking now, you'd think it's never going to stop. Even I think it was BlackRock. They said AI investments are still safe in 2026. They claimed that cash flow was good from these companies and that
Mhm.
it's still going to be a growing industry. I don't know how much I believe that,
Mhm.
but you know, if they're saying it, then you know, there's probably some truth to it. And yeah, it's so big now that I don't believe I have the expertise to be able to tell you
Mhm.
what's going to happen to it. It is so beyond. Like if you tell me about programming language, for example, or like a new framework that comes out, that's like limited to like the scope of developers, right?
Yeah.
At least I can tell you, oh, the developers I know say this, the developers I know say that, and then a lot of them aren't actually going to use this because it's not necessarily related to their use case.
Yeah.
This is like significantly more than just industry wide. This is global.
Mhm. 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 Mhm.
Um, there are people now, I guess, whose first interactions with computers
Mhm.
are going to be with some sort of LLM attached,
Yeah.
right? I
Yes.
cannot imagine that as a kid, right? Like I had to figure everything out on my own, like I said,
Uh,
and just having, you know, like an AI summary in
mhm.
Google, that
Mhm.
is so game changing.
Mhm.
So yeah, to answer your question, I don't know.
I love asking these questions because sometimes I think like we probably ask maybe like the experts too much about like all of this, and they try to give like this over complex or like, oh, AI is changing the world, is doing all of this. But sometimes I think like the people that is most impacting are like teens. And so I like bring that question down. Just so I think character.ai recently like banned like ChatGPT for like kids. Not one of their models or stuff for like kids under 18 or something like that. Or and then they mentioned some few things about like, oh, they are for adults and stuff. And they're like banning, schools are saying should be banned, there should be banned. And most people that are responding to all of those are like the experts saying whether you should ban or not. But
Yeah,
nobody's actually going to like a teen and be like, hey, do you think we should ban this or not? And like, what problem would it cause for you if you ban it or not ban it? And I think like there is a wealth of knowledge there that I think like we can just explore. This is why I really like love asking this question. But my final question, okay, just final two questions. You're Egyptian, you're Muslim, all of these things you've been doing is around like within the space of like even Deen and stuff. How did like Deen and Islam like fit into all of this, help you in all of this, and sort of like got you to where you are with all of this?
I think from a very young age, just through the lessons of Allah, just searching for ilm is a very important bit of Islam,
No.
and all kinds of useful ilm
Mm-hmm.
is what we should be looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was a very big bit of one of the reasons I wanted to learn it so much. It was something I knew that I was interested in, that I felt like I could go deep in.
Mm-hmm.
And so I suppose, yeah, that is the Islamic part. And if you think about it, the entire reason I started is also because of Islam,
Mm-hmm.
because of my whole dad's prayer timer thing,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So even from the very beginning, it's been very closely tied. I've met so many other programmers through you know, Muslim communities, and
Mm-hmm.
that's something I'm very fortunate for. We're in Seattle. There's tons of people like that,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Maps Redmond is in Redmond, and what else is in Redmond? Microsoft, right? So I've gotten to have some fantastic conversations, including this one, you know, because of this community,
Yes.
and so it's a huge component.
I see. So my last question then for you would be, if you were to go back to like your early teens or like maybe you have your kids and you're gonna try to simulate or repeat any of this process, what would you do differently in any of those steps till where you are now?
I think there are like a couple of ways you can answer this question. I can either go technical into like the order in which I learned
Yeah.
different paradigms and concepts, and then maybe like edit that a bit and make it make more sense because what I was
Mm,
doing was kind of like scattered.
mm,
Or I could take like answer it from a I guess fundamental level about how
mhm.
I learned
Yes.
and if that was like good or not.
Hmm.
Honestly, it depends. If the person who's trying to learn is extremely young and they're like me, I think the way I did it, which was just over many years, just try
Hmm.
stuff and see what sticks. I think
Yes.
that's the best.
Mm,
You have your leeway. You never feel pressured, and it's all
mm,
coming from you, right? And that's a
mm,
very important bit from
mhm,
of learning.
mm,
Um, if maybe you're in 11th grade and you decide, oh, I want to learn computer science and start, college in 2 years and start studying computer science. In that
mhm,
case, you're probably going to need something a bit more structured. And in that
mm,
case, I would tell you probably similar. I would try to teach either a past version of myself or somebody younger in maybe like an accelerated version of the things I learned in order.
mm,
Maybe pull like object oriented programming a bit earlier.
mhm,
But effectively, yeah, that same process, same languages too.
mm,
Maybe in the future it'll be different. There'll be like more optimized. There'll be better languages for learning this kind of thing. But I
mhm,
think Python for the very high level,
mhm,
C and C++ to teach you about the low level, and then the
mhm,
paradigms that come on top of those languages.
mm,
That's practically like the thing that the order I did, and I think that
mm.
was actually pretty useful. And that's probably how I would teach like a younger version of myself.
Interesting. Wow. I've really loved this conversation. And I think this conversation is meant for teenagers, also like their parents, and basically people like learning all of this. What advice would you have for teens listening to this? What advice would you also have like for parents listening to this?
Uh, I think access to just access in general. This is like such a massive field, such a complicated field, and there's
Mm,
so many different facets to it. I
mm,
think um, just paying attention to what exactly you're interested in,
mhm,
and working, trying. The important bit is that you need to on your own be able to learn all these different concepts because there's
mm,
so many that you won't be able to like reasonably take them in school, for example. Like, yeah,
mm,
there's some basic CS courses, but a lot of it's going to have to be driven from
mhm,
yourself.
mhm,
Or I guess if you're a parent, you can help in this situation.
mhm,
um, you need to make sure that you have the resources necessary to complete the things that you want to do,
mhm,
because if you don't, you're going to feel stuck, and then you're never going to want to do it again.
mm,
That is, I don't want anyone to feel hopeless in this field. I think
mm,
it really is. People have said this like way too often, but I
mhm,
think it still holds some truth. It's really for everybody.
mm,
Um, and I think the most important bit for me was access to information, access to resources, and if you can figure out how to search for information quickly, and if you as a parent can help your kid in that sense, I think you'd be doing them a great service.
wow. Jazakumullah khair, Mahdi. I've really loved this conversation. Thanks for taking the time. I really appreciate it. Jazakumullah khairan.
Jazakallah khairan to you too. Thank you so much for having me.
It's so much. I'll stop the recording now.